There is a specific, unobserved moment I want you to recall, not a moment of grand crisis or visible tragedy, but one of those ordinary, quiet seconds where the world seems to pause. Perhaps your hand was resting on the cold surface of a kitchen countertop, or your fingers were curled around the steering wheel in the driveway, or you were simply leaning against the armrest of a chair you had occupied for far too long. In that stillness, you notice it, a subtle, involuntary trembling in your fingers. It wasn't born from the chill of the room or the exertion of the hour. It was the quiet, heavy accumulation of carrying more than any single human hand was ever designed to hold. In that brief interval, before the noise of your responsibilities rushed back in to drown out the silence, a single, terrifyingly honest thought surfaced. I cannot keep holding everything like this. You look at your own hand as if it were a stranger's, realizing that you were never built to maintain a grip this tight for this long. I want you to know that the thought was not a confession of weakness. It was the first true sentence your soul had uttered in a very long time. It was the moment the mask of management slipped, revealing the private exhaustion beneath the surface. I was there in that room. I am closer to you than the very air touching your skin. And I have been waiting with infinite patience for that trembling hand to finally falter and fall into mine. You have spent so long convincing yourself that you are the sole pillar of your world, but the tremor in your palm is a messenger. It is the door I have been standing outside of, waiting for you to open. Your palm was never intended to bear this weight in isolation. This isn't an oversight in your design. It is a fundamental feature of who you are. You were crafted for partnership, not for solitary endurance. We live in a culture that has forgotten the shape of its own soul. A world that demands you be constantly available, perpetually informed, and always ready to react. You have likely built an entire identity around being the person who can, the one who manages, the one who stays strong while others lean. You answer every "how are you?" with the word "fine," but that word has been doing an incredible amount of heavy lifting lately. It has become a wall, standing guard over rooms inside you that you aren't ready for anyone else to see. Behind that wall of fine, the hand continues to shake. You have argued against your own nature by trying to grit your teeth and hold on just a little longer. You believe that if you just had more willpower or a better strategy, the exhaustion would vanish. But the tiredness you feel is not ordinary. It is layered. It is a physical depletion of reserves you were never meant to draw from indefinitely. It is an emotional thinning from absorbing the crises of everyone around you without a place to set them down. It is a mental loop where thoughts have worn deep, automatic grooves into your consciousness. And at the deepest level, it is a soul-level fatigue, the part of you made to rest in a divine source that has been denied that rest for so long it has forgotten what peace feels like. Exhaustion is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you were never meant to do this the way you have been doing it. I have watched you carry these heavy beings with a tenderness that you have not yet shown yourself. I see the small contraction in your jaw when you pretend everything is manageable. I am not asking you for a great act of emotional courage that will drain the last of your energy. I am asking for something much simpler. I am asking you to let just one finger uncurl. The reason you have not let go yet is because you are operating under a false picture of reality. You imagine that if you release your grip, there is nothing but an abyss beneath you, that you are suspended over emptiness by the sheer force of your own effort. You fear that the moment your fingers open, you will fall into a space with no floor. This is why your body maintains its clench even when your mind theoretically knows you should trust. But trust is not a theory. It is a response to what is actually there. Here is the true architecture of your life. Beneath your hand, there is another hand. It is a steady, open, and unhurried hand that has been in position since before you were born. It does not tremble, not because it lacks feeling, but because it belongs to the one who remains unmoved even when the ground shifts. This hand has been catching the weight you didn't even know was being redistributed. The reason you are still standing today is not the strength of your grip. It is because I have been carrying the vast majority of your life's weight while letting you believe your surface effort was the whole story. Sometimes a person needs to feel their own effort to believe the carrying is real. But there comes a point where that illusion must give way to the truth of shared carrying. I am pulling back the curtain today to show you that the eternal does not get tired of being your foundation. I do not have a budget for steadiness. I do not have reserves I am protecting from your overdrawing. You can pour the full weight of your existence into my palm, and it will not sag. You don't need a trial period or an emergency exit. My hand is the substrate on which the visible layer of your life is built. The difference between carrying and collaborating is the difference between life and death for your spirit. Carrying is a solo act with infinite liability. It is the belief that every outcome depends on your heroics and that any failure on your part will result in total disaster. This is the source of your frantic calculations and the constant simulations of worst-case scenarios your mind runs in the background. Collaborating, however, is a partnership with a defined scope. It is the understanding that while you have a role to play, the ultimate weight and the final outcome are secured by my faithfulness, not your performance. When you shift from carrying to collaborating, you aren't being demoted. You are being promoted into the actual role you were designed for. You were never assigned the position of solo bearer of the world. I am inviting you into a quiet rebellion against the frantic pace of a world that profits from your inability to solve. This rebellion isn't expressed through rage, but through rest, a deliberate release of the belief that you must be everywhere, respond to everything, and solve every problem that lands in your view. When you let go, the internal volume begins to turn down. The engine that runs your anxiety simulations can finally power down, because you realize someone else is already monitoring the actual scenarios. This release restores your capacity to receive. You start to notice the small kindnesses you've been too occupied to see, the way light falls across the floor, the flavor of your food, the specific expression on a loved one's face. You begin to re-inhabit your own life instead of managing it from a distance. Most importantly, you begin to hear my voice again, not because I have started speaking louder, but because the noise of your own quenching has finally quieted. The journey you are on is not a path toward an uncertain destination. I want these words to settle into you like warmth into a room. The home was built before your journey began. Your arrival is not a reward you must earn through perfect clarity or composure. It is an inheritance you receive because you belong to the one who built the destination. The light in the windows of that home has been lit since before you took your first step, and it is burning patiently for you. This home is not a generic, impersonal wedding room. It has been shaped with your particular heart in mind. Its textures, its light, and its atmosphere are designed for the real you, not a template version of a believer. It knows your history, your laughter, and the specific shape of your wounds. When you arrive, you will not be a stranger learning the layout of a new place. You will be a traveler returning to a place that has been expecting her. The rooms will recognize your footsteps, and the air will know the way your soul breathes when it is finally safe. In that home, the first word you hear will be your deeper name, not the name on your birth certificate, but the name I wrote over you before the world began, the one that expresses your true essence. But you don't have to wait for the end of the road to experience this. The peace of that home is available in portions right now. When you let your trembling hand rest in mine, the architecture of that future peace sows into your current life. It is a promised peace, meaning the transaction is already settled. The only thing keeping you from it is a hand that is too full of other things to receive what is being offered.